The moment you stop being teachable, you start digging your own grave. This is Joseph Michael here, and it's another, episode on the virtues of advantage, right? And I'm so super excited that we are doing this again, okay? And for those of you who have been following the series, and if this is your first time, I want to welcome you. And the whole idea of the virtues of advantage series basically is to help, to help you, to take you on a journey, right? As I learn of what I've noticed from very successful people, the traits, the characteristics, and some of the virtues that that I've observed from successful people, and how we can actually model them, right? How we can model them in business, in life, in all spheres of life, basically, right? To help us replicate success, right? It's as simple as that. That is the whole idea of the virtues of advantage right now. In the last lesson, we talked about curiosity, and I did go deep down into the 5 types of curiosity. I mentioned passive curiosity, active curiosity, strategic curiosity, fearless curiosity, and relentless curiosity. And in that lesson, right, there's a link in the description anyway. You can watch that video again. Very inspiring, very impactful, right? But today we're going to be talking about something very different, right? And this time around, we're going to be talking about teachability. Now, the beauty about teachability is the fact that I'm talking about this because I myself I didn't used to be so teachable. And when I look at my life and I see, if I want to trace back on when I started having those tremendous changes in my life, it actually came from when I started becoming teachable, coachable, right? And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the different levels of teachability, right? And the beauty about this is that when you, as you listen to me, right, you're going to find yourself at different levels. Where you are right now, you're going to be able to identify yourself as to what level of teachability you currently at, and at different times in your life excuse me, regarding different things, regarding different aspects of your life as well, right? Now we're going to start by defining teachability, why it is important, right? And we're also going to be looking at the 7 levels of teachability right now. When you are able to understand this thing, what's going to happen is that, right, you're going to start to, what is going to do for you to help you to start becoming more open-minded, right, to things around you, people around you, who you can actually learn from, right, and how that can actually impact that. Because there's one thing common among successful people is the fact that these guys are damn teachable, like very teachable. Do they take everything they are being told? No. They don't necessarily accept everything that they are being told. But the idea is that these guys are fucking teachable, right? Now, let's get right in already. So what is teachability? I like to define teachability as your degree of openness, right, to receiving guidance, instructions, and feedback from your peers, contemporaries, or even your mentors, and sometimes even your subordinates, right? That is what teachability is about, right? Your ability, your degree, right, of openness, right, to receiving guidance, instructions, and feedback from your peers, contemporaries, or your mentors, and even your subjects, right? So why is this important? Now there are some keywords in this, right? Now the first keyword is the degree, right? The second one is openness, right? The third one is guidance, instruction, and feedback, right? Now, we are open at, you agree with me that we're all open to, to new ideas and being teachable at different levels. And I'm going to explain these levels in the video, right? Now, for some people, they like to, I'm going ahead already anyway. I'm super excited about this. So, the reason why this is important, let me not run off too fast, right? The reason why this is important, being teachable, is because, bro, sis, you don't know everything. There's so much knowledge in the world that it is almost impossible. Not almost impossible, it is impossible for one person to have a full dimensional understanding of the universe and what it comprises of. It's impossible for you to have the full knowledge of every subject in the universe. And because of that, right, what happens is that we need to depend on other people for certain knowledge, for certain things. And the degree to which you are open is what is going to determine whether or not you are going to learn by mistake, you are going to repeat the mistakes that have been made in the past, or you're going to be able to soar on the wings right? You're going to be able to soar on the wings of those who have gone ahead of you. It's as simple as that, right? It is so important. And another reason is because, I found out that everybody wants to be right. Everybody wants to be correct, right? But we don't understand that people want to be correct, but they don't want to seek truth. Now, your ability to seek truth, your ability to receive guidance is much more important than you being correct. I'll say that again. Your ability to seek guidance, to seek correction is more important than your ability to be correct. There are countless times where I have felt like I'm very sure about this thing, and every other time that thing is not right, it's not correct, not because I am not smart, right, but simply because there might be some dark sides, right? There might be some what I like to call dark spots, right, that your current understanding does not capture. And then because of that lopsidedness, because of that dark spot, because of that deficit, right, you have to depend on someone else who has that body of knowledge for you to be able to soar on the wings of their experience, right, and their expertise. So that is what teachability is about, really. And when you're not teachable, the damages that it causes, right, is so detrimental. As a matter of fact, it could cost you your life and your future. So what I'm sharing with you is so damn important, right? Now, another thing you need to understand is that people want to, I found that people want to get results without going through the process of learning. And learning demands that you become teachable, right? Results demand that you learn. Learning demands that you become teachable. Now, these things are like in different series, right? They are in different levels. You cannot learn until and unless you're teachable, right? And you cannot make progress unless you learn. It's as simple as that. You can't get results unless you learn. So it is teachability, then progress, then result. It is as simple as that, right? Now let's go into the 7 levels of teachability, and I'm going to be sharing with them. I'm going to be sharing them with you, just so you can have an idea. And as I share them with you, go get your notepad, go get your pen. This is not one of those things that you watch, one of those videos that you watch and then you just run off. No, it is not I'm not giving you entertainment, right? I'm showing you stuff that are so important to your life, basically, right? Now, the very first level of teachability are those that I call the unteachable. I like to call them, in Nigeria, there's what we call them the ITKs, right? I too knows, right? These are people who, nobody can tell them anything because they have the impression that, they already know it all, right? These are the guys who reject advice, they reject correction and any form of feedback, right? And you could see them in business, you could see them in entertainment, you could see them in school. They are everywhere. They are the ones that blame others for their failure. They are the ones that see mentors, right, as competition. There's something that I heard some years ago, right? And the quote was, "Do not compete with people you should be learning from." Do not compete with those you should be learning from. Now, the mistake that many young people make, not just young people, many people all around the world make, is this idea of wanting to compete. You do not understand that at the highest level of life, there is no competition at all, right? There are no competitions at the highest level of life. There is only interest, basically, right? There is interest, there's no competition. And when you start competing with those you should be learning from, when you have this impression that you know it all, and you start competing with mentors, with people you should be looking up to, with your role models, what happens is that the things that they know, because you have become arrogant, because with unteachability comes arrogance, because that arrogance is the fact that you feel that you know everything, you think that you know everything, you think you know it all, and you feel insulted when you're being corrected. This is these are the characteristics of the unteachable. So let's say, for example, right, you're searching for a job, you have a CV, and you've been searching for a job. Now you submitted this CV over and over and over and over and over again. You submitted the CV over and over again. And guess what? The CV keeps being rejected. Every time you submit it, you're qualified for this position, but your CV keeps being rejected. Now, someone who is unteachable, do you know what the person is going to do? The person is going to, instead of going back to sit down and review their CV, they are going to blame the interviewer. They are going to blame the company for not employing them, because as far as they are concerned, everything is fine with them and everything is wrong with whoever is interviewing them, the company, the interview, the HR personnel, whoever it is. These are the guys that are unteachable. And if you find yourself in this place, you are going to learn, but you're definitely going to learn the hard way. That is what this is about. So you need to find out at every point in your life, am I unteachable? Like, have I gotten to that point when people talk to me, I'm giving them this impression that I cannot be corrected, I cannot be taught, I cannot be advised, I cannot receive feedback. You did something that's not good. Your boss calls you into correction. He tries to call you into correction. He tries to call you into order. And the next thing, you're getting upset. You did something your friends are not cool with, your contemporaries are not cool with, and they're trying to correct you about it, and you feel insulted. Is that actually, a characteristic of someone who wants to grow? The answer is no. You are definitely not going to grow. And if you continue on that trajectory, you can as well kiss success goodbye. Now, from my study and my understanding and my research, I've got to find out that people who have this impression of, this ITK impression, this I too know impression, the unteachable guys, I found out that they are unteachable because of two reasons. Number one is ignorance, and number two is arrogance. Now, the reason is because, when you see someone who is unteachable, you realize many times that they have a heightened level of narcissism. These are guys who are very narcissistic. These are ladies who are very narcissistic because they feel like, oh, okay, the world revolves around them. They know everything. So what do you want? You hear things like, wait till you won't tell me where I don't know before. Like, what do you want to tell me that I do not know? That's arrogance, because there's so much that you don't know, baby. There's so much that, there's so much perspective. There's so much in the world for one person to know. You cannot know everything. And because you cannot know everything, you have to learn to shut the fuck up and be teachable. That's what this is about, right? Ignorance. When you see someone thinking, oh, I know everything, it lets you know that this person actually does not know anything, because the ones who actually know stuff understand that the more you know, the more you realize that you actually do not know. That is the idea, basically, right? So these are the ITK guys, and you don't, if you want to be successful, you have no fucking business finding yourself in this spot at all. You have no fucking business being here. And as many people who are here can as well kiss themselves goodbye. Now, aside from those who are the unteachable, we have the second level, right, which I call the resistant learners. Now, the idea of the resistant learners are the guys who say, okay, now I'm going to learn, right? They take it one step ahead. They are not the guy that says, okay, I know it all enough. That no, they understand, they know that they don't know it all, right? They say, I'm going to learn, but I'm only going to learn on my own terms, right? They are the guys who say, I don't need change, but if I ever do, I'll do it on my terms. They like to do stuff on their own terms. But understand that life was not built on your terms. There are so many things in life that are outside of your terms, that are outside of your control. There are so many things. You cannot impose, right? You cannot impose your laws. You cannot impose your rules on life. No, there are fundamentals of life, and your responsibility is for you to align with these things. You cannot choose what fundamental to align with and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'll choose to do this, and I'm not going to do this. If you choose to violate the laws of electricity, you see a naked wire, you go put your hand there, what the fuck is going to happen? It's going to shock you, right? You cannot say I want to learn, but it's going to be on my own terms. You're an adult, you are privileged to do that, but also understand that you are going to fail on your own terms. It's as simple as that. So these guys acknowledge that they actually need help, right? But they never take action. They are stubborn and slow to accept changes. These are the guys that you will teach and you will tell one thing, and you keep saying it, and you keep saying it. They are the stubborn people. The Bible talks about stubbornness is as a sin of witchcraft, right? It's like witchcraft. These are the guys here. They feel insulted too when you give them feedback. Now, the problem with these guys is that they eventually learn. Yes, they eventually learn, but they learn through unnecessary failures and hardship. These are the guys that have to go through failures and hardships before they eventually learn. Now, let me give you an instance. So let's say, for example, you want to, you onboarded a client, right? And you want to close them on high ticket, right? Now, you have never done high ticket before. You have never closed a single client before. You have never done any of that. Now, someone who is a resistant learner would say, okay, I'm going to learn high ticket sales, but I want to learn it on my terms. There are videos on YouTube to go and watch, thousands of them, but this person would never ever sit their ass to actually watch this stuff. They would rather wait until they start burning the leads, until they start losing the customers, the potential clients, the customers and all of that, before they even think of the thought of sitting their ass down to watch a video that could actually help them, save them from the same mistakes, the same errors that they are making. So they've lost money already. They've lost time. They've lost credibility because they are resistant learners. They are so fucking egocentric and damn hard to coach. If you ever, I sell programs, the coaching programs. One of the most difficult people to coach are people who are resistant learners, because most of them actually come to you with the notion that I already know this thing. What do you want to tell me about this thing? That's the notion that some of them come with. So they have an idea, and not even a refined idea of these things. So they come to you, you're trying to instruct them, you're trying to teach them, but they would not listen. In my mind, I'm always like, if you knew it, why the fuck did you sign up for the program? Why did you sign up for the program? If you knew it that much, you should have done it by yourself. So what's my lesson to you? Don't be here, baby. You have no business being here. Some of the most successful people in the world, they are not resistant learners. They are open to knowledge. They are open to seeking feedback. They are open to all of these things. They have learned to put their ego aside. They might not like what you're saying. They might not like the way you're saying it, but they have learned to put their ego aside and accept the things that is being said, or at least hear the things that have been said, listen to the things that have been said. So you are in a relationship, for instance, and the relationship keeps failing and failing. You're getting dumped for one reason, in fact, for the same reason. For someone who is a resistant learner, he will see the error. He would see the mistake that every other person is making except himself. He will see the error of every other person around him. He will see the error. He will see how unnice the lady is. He will see how, the lady's going to see how arrogantly the guy talks to him, but she would never see how she actually treats this guy. And these people are everywhere. And at every point in our lives, you need to understand, you need to begin to pay attention, to understand, to begin to ask yourself, am I becoming a resistant learner in this aspect of my life, in my relationships, in my friendships? Am I becoming a resistant learner? Am I becoming egocentric? Am I putting my ego ahead of my ability to learn, or of the opportunity to seek knowledge, feedbacks, all of those stuff? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is yes, rather, this is the best time for you to have a U-turn, right? This is the best time for you to have a U-turn. So I've talked about the unteachable, I've talked about the resistant learners, and there's a third level, which I call the selective learners, right? The selective learners. So take note of it, the selective learners. Now, the thing about the selective learners is that they want to learn, but they only want to learn, right? They only want to learn from people that they are comfortable with and when they feel comfortable. So listen to me. There are people that you might not like. Listen good. There are people that you might not, and this is something I got to, I got to learn the hard way. And I'm telling you what I know. There are people that you might not like. There are people that you might not like the way they talk. You might not even like the way I talk. But these people know stuff that can help you in your life. They know things that can break you out of the ice. They know things that can emancipate you. They know things that can make you money. But because you do not like them, you are willing to sacrifice your preferences on the altar. You are willing to do that. Many people go the extent. So you don't like, for example, you don't like Elon Musk. He's a smart person. Whether you like him or not, he's successful. Listen to him. You don't like Otedola. He's smarter than you. Listen to him. You don't need to like people. And that's the thing you need to begin to understand. You don't need to like people for you to learn from them. You don't need to love people for you to learn from them. You just need to be open-minded. You just need to be teachable for you to learn from these guys. You just need to be teachable. And you cannot tell yourself, you say, okay, I just want to learn when I feel comfortable. That's fucking bullshit. Whatever you're trying to do from your comfort zone, many times, look through history, whatever you're trying to do from your comfort zone, many times it does not work, because the comfort zone is never a place of growth. The comfort zone, if you're sitting in your comfort zone, it is never a place. Nothing grows in the comfort zone except white hairs. Except white hairs. That's what grows in the comfort zone. So when you sit in the comfort zone and you want to learn at your own comfort and at your own pace, bro, it's not going to work. Sis, it is not going to work. You are going to run into, you're jogging into expedition, right? You're jogging into it. Right? So you need to understand that you have to learn how not to be a selective learner. A selective learner loves motivation. They avoid discipline. You don't understand that you can be, motivation has an expiry date. Motivation has if you're waiting to be motivated before you learn, you are not going to learn anything. You are not going to be able to do anything useful with your life. You're not going to be able to do any of that. So what am I trying to say to you? If you want success, you have to be willing to pay the price, and that price might not be comfortable. That price might require that you learn from people who you do not like. There are things, and this happens a lot with Christians. There are so many unbelievers, right, who understands fundamental of wealth, who are doing so very well. Learn from them. You don't have to be an unbeliever. Learn from them. Learn, observe your ways. Look at what they're doing. They're successful in business. Learn from them. Learn from them. You don't have to be, you don't have to be a psychopath. If a psychopath is successful, right? There are things that he knows about success that you probably do not know. I'm not asking you to be a psychopath. I'm asking you, learn what the psychopath knows and employ empathy into it. And that's what makes the difference. That's what makes the difference, basically. These are the guys who also ignore hard truth. When you see people who are selective learners, you try to, you try to talk to them about things that are concrete. The Bible calls them babes. It says, give them milk. So they want to hear nice things. They don't want to hear things. They don't want to hear harsh feedbacks. They don't want to hear these things because their ego is on the line. They avoid lessons that could literally change their life, and they waste time consuming feel-good content. That's just the truth of the matter. And you cannot grow in this place, basically. You cannot grow in this zone. There is nothing, I'm saying it again, that there is nothing that grows in the comfort zone except white hair. Nothing. Nothing goes to the comfort zone except white hair. So do not be an unteachable person. Do not be a resistant learner. Do not be a selective learner. Learn from everybody. Be that child where everything around you can instruct you. Everything around you. The person might be a drunkard. The person might be an addict. But there's something you can always pick from that person. Leave the person's, leave the characteristics alone. Leave the outcome of their life alone and pick the lessons. You don't need to live their kind of life, but you can pick valuable lessons from them that you just might never have the opportunity to learn, even from those that you look up to. There are people I do not like. Well, there's nobody I don't like anyway, but there are people that I might not feel so cool with, I might not feel so comfortable with. But guess what? I learn from them because there's something that they know. If this person is a successful person, there's something that he knows that I do not know. This person has done $1 million in a year, and I have not done it before. There's something that he knows that I do not know. The person might not be the most eloquent. He might not be the most caring. He might not be the nicest. He might not be the most emotional. But there's something that he knows. It might not be the most, it might not be the most spiritual, but there's something that he knows that is to my advantage. That if I learn this thing from this person, it is going to bless me. It is going to help me. It is going to give me the advantage, the same advantage that he have. So do not be a selective learner. Basically, that's what I'm talking about. Do not be a selective learner. Learn from everybody and anybody. This is what the teachability is about. Your ability, your level, the degree of your openness. The degree of your openness. So to some people, the selective learner, it could be just, 1% degree of openness. It could be 10% degree of openness to people who they do not like. It could be 5% degree of openness. Whereas you should be open to all things but attached to nothing. That is what you should be. Open to all things, attached to nothing. Don't be attached to the personality or what the person does. This person does this. You don't need that. Your goal is for you to keep your focus, keep your attention on the things that matters, on the things that they know that you do not know. That is what is going to give you the advantage.